where our roots are, and providing interconnectivity in our ecosystem between cloud providers, NSPs, enterprises, etc. But as we've seen over the last 5 to 6 years with the evolution of our ECX product, as we've built this fabric, this connectivity model that allows us to interconnect all these enterprises, cloud providers, NSPs, etc., there's such a desire to interconnect, not only physically, like we know with patch cables and cross connects, physical cross connects, but also virtually. And ECX allowed us to do that.
Maybe just a quick
out of
ECX.
Certainly. So the Equinix Cloud Exchange exists in 36 of our metros. We have 200 IBXs or data centers globally. 36 of those are fabric enabled with our Cloud Exchange. That Cloud Exchange allows you to virtually cross-connect between any of our providers that choose to be on that exchange, and allows you to instantly build connectivity between any of those cities. Not only to connect to cloud providers and service providers, but also to utilize our fabric to traverse between metros and cities globally. What we started to see as customers leverage the ECX platform, that essentially is layer 2. It's a pseudo wire. It's a virtual cross connect, but that allows you to build that connection directly to someone layer 2. But if you want to start actually peering with them, you clearly need layer 3 functionality. So we started to see a desire for that layer 3 functionality to exist and be deployed not only as quickly as we've seen with ECX, but be scalable and flexible. And then we started to see the desire for more and more functions that sit even higher than layer 3. So firewall, SD-WAN, identity management, DNS, load balancing. So that was really what drove the evolution of the Network Edge product, which by definition, I think Etsy would see it as a VNF as a service. The way that we allocate resources and provision those and then provide that VNF to customers.
So, yeah, and we'll get into that in a second. So, so when you say your customers are asking you for this type of functionality to move up the stack a bit, can you describe what types of, is it driven primarily from enterprise, is it cloud, is it telecom operator? Where does the demand for this come from?
It's been interesting to see. In my role, that's all I do is talk to customers and try to understand the market and hopefully translate that back to product. But it's been a wide range on the continuum of customers. So from NSPs all the way to enterprises, small enterprises to Fortune 50s, trying to figure out how to make this this transition from the physical world to hybrid cloud, especially in the Fortune 100 context, and how to start leveraging virtualization where it makes sense. So if I talk to a Fortune 50 banking customer, they'll say, we have all this physical gear, we'd like to start making the transition. We think PMO versus FMO is probably a 10-year journey. Help us make that first step. If I'm talking to a cloud-first customer or born in the cloud, where basically they'll come to us and say, we want no gear, no kit, don't talk to me about colo, we have zero interest. That's a totally different type of conversation, and that's where they want to virtualize everything. So it's a wide range of applications and use cases.
All right. So getting into Network Edge a bit. So it's new, but it's commercial. You have customers.
Commercially launched. We were in beta late last year, going into spring of this year. We have a handful of customers that are live and moving production. We have a ton of customers in trial or POCs today. And we've been gathering requirements over this time period to try to really understand, fine-tune what the offering is. And there's a huge learning curve right now. There's a lot of education we do. It is bi-directional, it's symbiotic. We learn from them, they learn from us. And trying to understand what it is we need to put in this platform. And it is a moving target, and I think we're all together collectively trying to figure out what this market looks like.
So VNF as a service, it's a little bit nebulous of a concept for me. Can you describe a little bit what exactly, I'm a customer, I subscribe to Network Edge, what exactly do you get out of that?
Great question, it comes up all the time. I was actually checking my Etsy 2013 product spec group document back there to make sure I had it straight. It is kind of threading the needle between platform as a service and IaaS, because it is software as a service in the context that it does provide the user with the functionality but not the infrastructure. But going down and double clicking a bit more, it allows us to further define that as a network function as a service, where you as the customer, what we do is we offload the complexity of trying to characterize what resources are required for a particular function, how much memory, how much compute, how much network. We just heard from Pluribus about the complexities of the data plane, the challenges of what happened with OpenStack over the years, with OVS, and now we have VPP that have sorted some of that. We take all that complexity out, we provide an SLA around the performance of the function of the VNF, and then we give you that, and we tie it up in a bow and let you provision that on our portal. And now that you own that router or firewall or load balancer or whatever it may be, and you now have access to that via GUI, via SSH, and it's your resource, your asset. But we handle all of the back-end management of the resources that make that instantiation possible. So rack, power, compute especially, and then all the resource allocation that goes with that.
So what would you say then for the customer that's looking at this type of a product, virtualized? What are the main benefits? I mean, I guess the alternative would be a physical element approach to it. What are the main benefits to them in this virtual network as a service?
So
VNF as a service.
it's all. I use the term velocity all the time. When I was at BT, this was a huge term. It's all about service velocity, and I think that still rings true with what we're doing with Network Edge. If I talk to a customer that's deployed in Ashburn today, they'll say, you know what, Network Edge isn't really that exciting to me in Ashburn, but where it is exciting is Sao Paulo. Because I want to be in Sao Paulo, but it's really hard to do business in Sao Paulo. And to deploy kit down there, it might take me 6, 9, 12 months. The complexities, the cost to do business down there. And we can literally, once we have your account set up and created, we can actually turn up and instantiate a service in 30 minutes, and you can have your router there, and then build on top of that virtual connections using the ECX, the Cloud Exchange, and build those and connect them into that virtual device, and then cross-connect to any other CSPs or NSVs that live on our ecosystem.
Okay, we've got about 6 minutes left. Maybe take a question or two before I dive in a little bit deeper. I had a couple follow-ups from what you said, but I want to give an opportunity. Good, Mike. I knew you'd have a question. So, is there a microphone? Because otherwise, I don't know if everybody hears the question.
I'll yell.
You can yell it out while he's going around.
How does this compete with, not relate, work with, to the Megaport cloud router?
Never get that question.
How does it relate or compete with to the Megaport cloud router?
Cloud router, yeah.
So in a lot of cases, they sit very much alongside where we're deploying our compute.
Okay.
I think the biggest difference is when you purchase their router, you're purchasing, the router is the only option. It's their version, homegrown. And given that we do business with 60% of the Fortune 500, the vast majority of those customers come to us and have Cisco experience, and they're very much comfortable with dealing with a Cisco product. And when we say we can give you that virtual Cisco CSR1K in our instantiation, and there's a level of comfort that comes with that, and also the ability to have an advanced feature set that goes along with that. And also, the router is just one. We have 7 or 8 VNFs available today, but we have an entire ecosystem that my friend Tom Yin is building out with all of our VNF partners to build that out to basically have. I keep wanting to say App Store, but I have to check myself when I say that. Marketplace, Andrew, is that what it? Marketplace that allows you to go and deploy any number of VNFs. And today it's a small number, but tomorrow it could be north of 50 or 75. But as we talk to customers, we're trying to figure out what that is. So I would say, in the context of Megaport, it's very much a one-trick pony. And the other thing is that we provide you connectivity directly in. Our compute sits on and is part of the Equinix Cloud Exchange. That is how it has reach, and that gives you connectivity to 1,000 partners.
All right, we can take another question. We've got one. There's a mic right behind you.
It's a really simple question, but who owns the license on the VNF?
Two options. So you can procure, depending on the vendor, and our list, I'll have to defer to Tom. But in the case of Cisco, you can procure that license directly through us. Or you can use the PayGo model, PayGo with us rather, or you can do BYOL and bring your enterprise license and enter that during the time of deployment. You can do that with Juniper or Fortinet, any number of our partners. So the choice is there for 2 or 3 of our VNFs, but the vast majority as we go forward will probably be BYOL. That's, given the level of customer that we're acting with, that's usually the preferred choice, just given the discount commercials.
All right, take one more, or yep. All right, lots of questions. Makes my job easy.
So you talked about the locations, X locations, and the enterprise segment customers. What kind of a common use case and applications you are seeing driving some of those locations and enterprises?
So
I think that's a bigger subject.
The question is about use cases driving the demand for the network edge.
Correct, and applications.
Yeah, and applications. Use cases and applications.
So I call it the low-hanging fruit is cloud-to-cloud routing, especially when I talk to cloud-first organizations. They'll say, I don't want any gear. My workload lives in AWS, but my data lives in Oracle. I want a fast connect connection into Oracle. I want my direct connect in AWS. I don't want to deploy gear in your facility. How do you do that for me? And I can sell them 2 virtual circuits on Dawn's ECX platform, but then I still can't peer them. I can't cross-connect them at layer 3. So without deploying a piece of kit or router in that we call it performance hub, I can do that instantly now with a virtual router and build that peering across that. And that's great for 2 clouds, but what's fantastic is if we can build that out, now extrapolate out to 7, 8, 9, 10 clouds, and now you have true hybrid cloud with a virtual device sitting at this natural center of that ecosystem. That's the number one use case that we have today. I would say a follow-up to that would be connecting into physical assets around the world. So an organization that has co-location with Equinix in Paris can now tie that in across our ECX fabric and then have cloud on-ramp in Ashburn and then hop right onto the cloud without deploying a physical asset in Ashburn. So once you're on the fabric, you can now take these pieces and tie them together in any way you see fit to build a solution.
So one quick follow-up for me, and then we'll be out of time. But I think of things. I come from the world of optics, which are very physical things. So even in the virtual world, I think physical.
Even that world as well.
Yeah. So in the case of Sao Paulo, wherever you go with the network, you need to have a physical data center, correct? These are Equinix physical facilities, right?
Correct. Before we deploy the compute or the pods, compute, correct.
So one of the concepts of edge and distributed cloud is just for a lot of companies hoping to have lots and lots of data centers everywhere to get the edge where edge is needed. Does that mean that Equinix is going to go out and double the number of data centers you have? Is there a plan to really expand the number of physical sites?
I think we will see what Equinix's plan is to follow what we've done with ECX. We have 200 data centers with 36 of those fabric enabled, Equinix Cloud Exchange enabled, and we want to make sure we align and deploy network edge alongside those fabric enabled sites. So as you see us build out and start to invest in ECX and all these other data centers, you'll see network edge right alongside that, because in network terms, if that's layer 2 in the stack, we'll sit right on top of layer 3.
Yep.
So it's a perfect evolution to that product.
Right, that makes sense.
So it's simply just going to be, it's the on-ramp to cloud that you'll see with some of our new edge products, and you'll continue to see more edge products evolve.
All right, makes sense. Great, thank you. These 15 minutes are always too short, but thank you for your time. All right, good night. Thank you. All right. So actually, and we'll hear more from Equinix because Equinix is a participant on our panel discussion, which is broadly around edge. So.